Alright folks, welcome back. Finley here. We're diving into a seriously thorny question today. Is Elon Musk a modern-day Prometheus, bringing fire to mankind? Or is he edging closer to a real-life Bond villain? Think about it. He's got rockets, electric cars, social media, and now? He's advising on shrinking the federal government. Sounds like a movie plot, right? But this is real life. So, what's the deal? Is this a bold move to streamline a bloated bureaucracy, or a dangerous power grab with unforeseen consequences? Let's break it down. This is going to be a wild ride. Okay, let's set the stage. News broke recently highlighting the plan, seemingly supported by the Trump administration and, crucially, advised on by Elon Musk, to downsize the federal workforce. We're talking about a potential reduction of around 75,000 employees. This isn't some theoretical exercise either. It's already happening. The justification? To create a more efficient and responsive government. The method? Offering buyouts, essentially, deferred resignations with financial incentives. Sounds reasonable enough on the surface, right? But there are layers here. The unions are fighting back, claiming this is illegal and forces employees into making rushed, uninformed decisions. They're calling it an unfunded IOU. This is already messy, and it's only going to get messier. So, what happens when you suddenly shrink the federal workforce? Think of it like a butterfly effect. Small changes can trigger massive consequences. Directly, we're talking about operational strain. Fewer people doing the same amount of work. Expect delays in processing applications, permits, basically anything involving the government. Employee morale? It's gonna plummet. Imagine being one of the remaining employees, knowing your workload just doubled and your job security is shaky. And what about the skills gap? Losing experienced workers means losing institutional knowledge. This isn't just about bodies, it's about expertise. The Trump administration may see this as an opportunity to implement policy changes more easily with a smaller, more aligned workforce. But short-term gains can lead to long-term pain. The unions are going to keep fighting tooth and nail, which will only add to the chaos. Now, let's zoom out a bit. This isn't just about the government. It impacts adjacent industries too. Contractors, for example. Agencies might start outsourcing more to fill the gaps, creating opportunities for private sector companies. But with that comes increased competition and potentially higher costs. Then there's the real estate market. Areas with a high concentration of federal employees could see property values decline as people relocate or downsize. And what about local economies that rely on federal employment? They could face serious downturns. We might see a shift in economic power from the public sector to the private sector in these regions. Cities might need to totally rethink their urban planning to adapt. More housing availability, sure, but at what cost? But the biggest impact might be socioeconomic. Public trust in government is already low. This could erode it even further. People need to believe their government is working for them, and service disruptions won't help. Politically, this is going to be a powder keg. Supporters will hail it as necessary reform, while opponents will see it as an attack on public servants. And what about social mobility? Reduced opportunities for government employment could limit opportunities for certain segments of the population. A widespread distrust in government could lead to decreased civic engagement. We could see increased social inequality and a widening gap between the rich and poor. Young people might be less inclined to pursue careers in government, leading to a brain drain. And if the social safety net is already stretched, a reduction in the workforce could lead to even more strain. Okay, let's talk risks. Technically, this is a minefield. Data security and privacy are huge concerns. You've got employees leaving with access to sensitive information. A chaotic transition could lead to breaches. IT system disruption is another major worry. Losing IT staff could cripple critical government systems, leading to performance issues and security vulnerabilities. Then there's the knowledge loss. Experienced employees take their expertise with them. Migrating responsibilities and training remaining employees is going to be a nightmare. From a business perspective, operational inefficiency is almost guaranteed. Slower processing times, backlogs, reduced service quality. It's all on the table. Reputational damage is another big risk. If this is perceived as unfair or poorly managed, it could tarnish the reputations of everyone involved, including Trump and Musk. Legal and financial liabilities are also a concern. The unions are already fighting this, which could lead to penalties and delays. And let's not forget the economic impact on local economies. A significant reduction in federal employment could trigger downturns in those areas. Ethically, this is where things get really dicey. Is this fair to federal employees? Are they being pressured into accepting buyouts without adequate information? The unions are saying yes. Is the program transparent? The involvement of Elon Musk, a private sector figure, raises questions about conflicts of interest. Does the program adhere to due process rights for federal employees? The legal challenges suggest otherwise. Is it socially responsible to potentially reduce government services and cause job losses, particularly for vulnerable populations? And finally, does Musk's dual role as advisor and business leader create a conflict of interest? His involvement could be seen as an attempt to benefit his own companies at the expense of the public. Let's pause for a second and really focus on Musk's involvement. This isn't just some random consultant. This is Elon Musk, a guy who runs SpaceX, Tesla, and now X, formerly Twitter. He's got his fingers in everything, and he's advising on downsizing the federal government? This is unprecedented. His supporters will say he's bringing private sector efficiency to a bloated bureaucracy. His critics will say he's a Bond villain in the making, consolidating power and influence. The truth, as always, is probably somewhere in between. But the fact that this is even a legitimate question is pretty wild. And here's another layer to consider. Automation. Is this downsizing a precursor to widespread automation of government functions? Musk is a huge proponent of AI and automation. Is he planning to replace federal employees with algorithms and robots? It's not outside the realm of possibility. If that's the case, what happens to the displaced workers? What kind of retraining programs will be available? And how do we ensure that these automated systems are fair and unbiased? These are crucial questions that need to be answered. So, what does all this mean for the future? It's tough to say. The success of this downsizing program hinges on a lot of factors: how it's implemented, the overall economic climate, and the political climate. But one thing is clear. This is a high-stakes gamble. If it works, we could see a more efficient and responsive government. If it fails, we could see chaos, disruption, and a further erosion of public trust. And Elon Musk? His legacy is on the line. Will he be remembered as the guy who streamlined government and brought efficiency to the public sector, or as the guy who broke it? Ultimately, whether Elon Musk is a savior or a villain depends on your perspective. He's clearly a disruptor, a visionary, and a force to be reckoned with. But he also wields immense power, and with great power comes great responsibility. This downsizing program is a test of his leadership, a test of the government's ability to manage change, and a test of our society's ability to adapt to a rapidly changing world. So, what do you think? Is Musk on the right track, or is he leading us down a dangerous path? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more in-depth analysis of the tech and political landscape. Until next time, stay curious,